Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning down the house so we can rebuild it, where we're having conversations about what you can do every day to be a construction champion, or to just be a champion in your life and for your employees, for your business, for everybody around you. I'm super excited today. Ryan, it is great to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ron.
Man, me and Ryan, we got connected and, we just hit it off. Every so often you just get on a call with somebody and it's just you rock and roll. So I had to have him on here. He's been around the construction industry in one way or another for over 2 decades at this point in time, correct?
Oh yeah, so I started my first company in the space in 2000, so 23 years ago.
A lot of knowledge. So why don't you introduce yourself to all the construction champions out there?
Yeah. My name is Ryan Crownholm. I was an ex-military guy. When I got out of the military, I was young and strong, and so the smart place for me to go would have been into construction, so I could swing a sledgehammer and pickaxes and shovels. So I did that. Started a hauling company originally while I was in college, and then grew it into a pretty good sized demolition general engineering company. And I did that for about 15 years. And then I sold that company and transitioned into construction technology. And so creating some solutions to support the construction industry. I'll say that the technology side of it, while it's physically easier, is nowhere near as much fun as it was being out there in the field, like doing the actual work.
I believe the same thing. I say that all the time, is like my favorite times in construction when I was actually out in the field doing the work. Like those are my best memories.
Yeah, totally.
And I might have to steal the young and strong from you, because I was in the Marine Corps, and when I got out, I transitioned into construction. And I just always say, like, that was the natural transition. It gave me everything that I was looking for, and I could still be that hard-nosed, hard grinder that I was in the Marine Corps in a different industry. But young and strong sounds so much better.
Yeah, well, you leverage what you got, right? So I don't know what your MOS was, but I was a 14 Sierra. I was Stinger missiles shooting down airplanes. And so when you come out and start looking for a job, like I'm looking for an opportunity to shoot down airplanes, like it's like Al Qaeda might hire you, but that's about it. So I didn't really have a skill set. So I just
I was an 0311, so I was a grunt. So you can imagine, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get into it, man. I'm going to ask the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
Construction champion, man. I just love the construction industry because it's like I feel like a lot of it's like our grandparents' generation is the one that had all the skills, that actually knew how to do things, and like they did all the work on their own houses, and it's all been kind of put off into the construction industry now. People don't do anything for themselves anymore, and so as a result, the construction industry has just been booming. I mean, even guys as simple as like a handyman, which 20 or 30 years ago wouldn't have been able to find much work, and the husband and wife would have laughed at him for coming in trying to do something like hang a curtain rod. But now people hire you for that stuff. And so guys in the construction industry, where it used to be sort of the stigma of like, if you can't do anything else, maybe you do construction, or for contractors, they had a reputation for drugs and alcohol or whatever. It's not the case anymore. Construction now is it is one of the last ways to really make it in this country. I mean, you can go out and learn a trade and make 6 figures right off the bat, whereas a lot of people are spending a fortune to go to college, getting out, have no real marketable skill set, and can barely make 30,000-40,000 a year in the market. And so I'm a huge fan and very optimistic about where the industry is going, and also just being at sort of at the forefront of the technology transformation too, and helping guide these guys that have like these amazing skill sets, but giving them tools to make them even more profitable.
See, that's a great thought on the construction industry, because I don't think I've had anybody on here that is phrased like the 30 years ago you couldn't just go be like that stuff, or like just look at I look at like my parents, or I look at like my grandparents. You're so right. Like that some of the the construction industry space has been created just kind of almost out of thin air of just people stop doing this stuff.
And that's true in so many areas. I mean, I even, back up to when I was in high school, if I would have told a buddy that I was going to get my oil changed, I'd have been laughed out of the room. Now it's like I wouldn't even consider changing my own oil. And this has happened across like all the different things that we used to do for ourselves regularly. And so the guys that are in construction that are really handy and know how to use their mind and like how to put things together, it's amazing. It's very easy to make a living now.
Yeah, I know it's really unbelievable how easy it is for guys to go make a living doing this kind of stuff. There's tons of opportunity out there, no matter what you want to do. Whether you want to swing a hammer, you want to go build houses, you want to frame them out, you want to pour concrete, or you want to go haul loads of dirt and stuff around.
Right, exactly. And this is actually with my son. I talked to him quite a bit about this. It's like he said, well, all his buddies were going to college, he's 13. And so they start thinking about that. And I say, well, that's one path. But if I were you, if I were to back things up, I would go to trade school first. I would go be a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter, spend 4 years. And then if you still want to go to college, and then you could put yourself through college while doing work at $100 an hour. And so 8 years later, at 26 years old, you've got a contractor's license and a college education, and then you can just conquer the world. And so I think that things are really starting to shift in that space, and people are really starting to take a hard look at these industries. And then people like me and you are looking at ways that we can make those jobs more efficient. So one of them that I took out from my company when with the general engineering company, we moved a lot of dirt. And so since then I decided that I would create a digital product called dirtmatch.com, where we're trying to solve one of the most complicated problems that they have in the construction industry, which is dirt. Dirt is sort of the unknown. You never know where you're going to take it, where you're going to get it, what it's going to cost you. There's not like set prices like everything else. And so we're tackling this project in a big way and kind of bringing some sense into the dirt industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting space whenever you have that kind of stuff, because we used to do a lot of foundation work, and we'd be pouring dirt out, bringing sand, whatever was supposed to be coming in or needed stone, all this different stuff. And like you said, it's a complete unknown. I remember being in the truck on Google Maps or whatever, or just on whatever maps, trying to figure out where can I take this shit and get rid of it.
Well, you must be younger than me then, because I remember being on the Thomas Guide, flipping through, trying to figure it out. But things have changed quite a bit. But yeah, and we built it really to try to make it very simple. I have dirt, I need dirt, and like just something that's like, go there. You got a dirt problem, we're going to solve it for you. And I think that what you're doing with builder comms is very similar. It's like it's a problem of communication. It's always been a problem. And so these tools that are coming out are just making the job so much easier than when I started my companies.
Well, it's like what you just said. What you're doing is just something simple. And I think as the construction industry, what we have a tendency to do is be very complex. Because we think these are complex problems. We need this big complex solution, when really all we need is simple solutions that people can utilize. It doesn't have to be as complex as what everybody makes it out to be.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's just for, especially if you're trying to train your staff across the board in construction. And as you know, truck drivers and equipment operators, sometimes they can be really resistant to adopting new technology. And so when you build a product, you have to keep them in mind, that the guy that's been, sitting behind on an excavator, operating it for 30 or 40 years, and you tell him to put some new software on his phone, he's probably going to tell you where you can shove it. So we're, this is something we're working around, but I think that the industry's moving forward nonetheless.
Well, yeah. And, so since we're down that road of talking about technology, I think it's a really exciting time, because you know what, I work with a lot of younger guys that are just getting into the industry, that are 2-3 years into the industry, and they are excited about technology and where it's headed. And I'm seeing like this shift where It's just like everything in the construction industry right now. We're at like this shifting point where knowledge needs to change hands from the older generations to the younger generations. But at the same time, that younger generation is going about getting that knowledge differently by going out and looking at technology that can shorten that learning curve, that can make them more efficient at not just their job, but at having the company. And
Yeah.
to me, it's an exciting time. And then I get to meet older guys that are doing the same thing, that are kind of in between that. Like they're not just starting, but they're not ready to retire. And they're realizing like either they're going to get on board with some technology and it's going to make their company better, or they're just going to be forced into early retirement.
Yeah, yeah. And this is it is a competitive advantage for sure. Even back in 2008, 2009, I was implementing a lot of technology into my company, meaning I had people that were answering the phones and overseas, and I had a bidding software that we had custom built for our application, like an iPad app that we bring on the job site, like all these things that made my company so much more profitable than everybody else. And that's the thing that I think the guys need to realize. Technology, it's not just another thing I got to deal with. It's a thing that's going to bring more money to your bottom line, more free time, more organization, easier to scale. Those are the points that people really need to understand about construction technology solutions.
Yeah, and you know what used to excite me the most about technology as we were growing was, if you get the right data in, the trends and the stuff you're able to start to predict and have an understanding on from your business perspective it's unbelievable. And for the construction industry, we're used to just kind of forecasting off the hood of our truck and
Yeah.
not necessarily taking any data into that consideration. But with the technology that's out there, it'll allow you to understand exactly where you're going, what you need to get there, and what those numbers are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to see everything going so quickly. And people like you tackling it. People who actually understand the industry. What it's always been in the past is a bunch of guys in Silicon Valley that are making assumptions about what the construction industry needs, and they create products, and then they just kind of give it to us, and we go, "Well, we want to deal with this." And so now, for the first time ever, we're seeing guys that have a background in construction partnering with people that have a technology background and building solutions that are actually custom built for them, and not just something to work around. Like you give an excavating company like a Salesforce that was meant for a SaaS sales company, they're going to be like, "What is this?" Right? And so that whole thing, now people are starting to take it seriously, which they should. I mean, construction is what, $1 trillion industry.
Yeah, no, you're going to hit a pain point for me, or not a pain, just a nerve for me, because I feel like and I'm sure you get this question a lot, is how do you get the construction industry to adapt technology? They don't ever want to adapt. There's all these issues with getting technology. And my answer to that is I firmly believe that guys in the construction industry are early adapters just by nature. They want the hottest new tool. They want the thing that's going to make their job the easiest. But what happened was Silicon Valley came in, rebranded a bunch of tech because they saw an untapped market, pushed it into the industry, and there was a lot of early adaptation. And then it didn't work because the people that had built it didn't understand what that technology needed to look like for the construction industry. They just felt whatever we built, it'll work. It's just another business, but construction's not. I say what we have is we have a jaded problem. You have a lot of guys that got jaded and are now very standoffish to any technology that comes out because they were in that first phase. They were like in D-Day of technology coming into the construction industry. And here we are now where you start to have a lot of solutions that are being built by people that came from the industry. And that excites me because that's how it should be.
That's actually one thing we've run into quite a bit is, a lot of construction companies tried things like Angie's List, right? Where they went in and they would sell them a bunch of leads, and they would get, every phone call is like, "Well, I've already got 30 people that have called me." They'd sell it to too many people. It was such a terrible user experience. that now because we have built into Dirt Match, we have an RFQ system built in where we sell leads very inexpensively. But when we talk to contract, oh, like Angie's List, I won't do it, forget it. And like, no, we won't sell it to more than 3 people. And usually we only sell 1 or 2 people. Like, and so the chances of landing these are really, really good. And so we kind of bounce up against this sort of early technology solutions that just kind of ravaged the industry.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've never seen anything like it in like any other. And now, I mean, I'm pretty hyper focused on the construction industry, but I got a general business sense. I talk to enough people outside, and you don't see a lot of that in other industries, but we really do see it in the construction industry. And there's this fear that like you're just out to get my money and provide something that isn't going to be a solution.
Yeah.
It's different. And then, but guys like us that came from the industry, here we are, we're fighting the good fight. I call it the good fight. It's what we should be doing. I think if you're in the construction industry and you have an ID or you have a technology that you use, that you have made that makes your business better, it's our responsibility to bring that to the market and work in service of the construction industry.
That's right.
Because I think we start to create, and I believe, because I'm having these meetings where we start to create this a la carte ordered for construction technology and construction software, where everything just works together. And that contractor, builder, that remodeler, whatever you do in the construction ordered, you can pick, you can just take, I need this, I need this, I need that. Like, this is what works for my business. This is what I need, instead of having to either take a solution that doesn't completely serve you or take one that sucks at pretty much everything, but has everything that you need. I really believe that the future of construction software is going to be this a la carte ordered, where everything works together. And you just start bundling it together, and you really get the solution that works best for your company and your needs, because not every construction company is the same.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. That's what I think we're going to see a lot of changes happening, and a lot, especially with AI now too, we'll be giving like a whole another level of thing, like ways to run projects and, efficiencies. I think things are going to come on very, very quickly. And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And I think we're going to get out of having that jaded mindset. And, that's going to change. There's going to be trust built between the two industries, and amazing things are going to come out of that.
Yeah, I think so too. And actually the way that we're building now is also changing really quickly. The 3D printing happening. I mean, I think the next 20 years is going to be fascinating to see, the direction that things go. I mean, if you could have a 3D printer show up and print a house within a couple of days, I mean, think about what that does to the industry. It's crazy to think about.
It is. I know a guy that's doing an entire neighborhood 3D printing them all. And
Wow.
it's amazing. And I think, like, I keep saying, like, the next decade in construction is going to be not just a mindset shift to where I truly believe that contractors, builders, us in the construction industry are going to be looked at as the same as those in the medical fields, those as lawyers, all these high degrees. I believe we belong at the same tables as all of them. The best guys I know, best business guys I've ever met, are from the construction industry, and they should be able to sit at the same tables as the doctors and the lawyers. And I think that shift happens in the next 10 years.
Well, that's what's interesting too, is dealing with all the, basically the housing crisis nationwide, or like, I'm pretty close to Los Angeles, or homeless problem. And so everybody, you said, get a bunch of politicians and people who don't understand construction, and they start coming up with solutions. How do we make more beds? No one ever asked me, no one ever asked my buddies, like, get a bunch of construction guys together that know how to build, that know how to do things efficiently, it's like, why are we not involved in those conversations? There should never be a city hall meeting that doesn't have somebody who understands construction. Like, we are the solution to the problems that we're going to be having over the next decade or two, and the problems that we're having today.
You're giving me chills, man. So like one of the reasons like I do this is because, and I've told this story on here before, is so my wife's a medical esthetician and worked in plastic surgery for 20 years. And I got tired of going to these damn Christmas parties and practically being laughed at by doctors because I was in construction and I'm running a $25 million a year company. You can't even show up to the office to do your 2 o'clock on time. And you're laughing at me. Like what you just said's the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
why
I
are
dealt with
they
that.
not? Why aren't they asking the guys in the construction industry? Like, let's get some builders and contractors, because not only will they have the solutions, they're the ones that would get shit done. Like,
Yeah. This was the, because my company was up in Silicon Valley, and I had my pickup truck that I would pull tractors around with, but occasionally I'd take my wife's car, and it was a nice Audi, and I would get comments about like, oh well, it's a pretty nice car, I guess you're going to be the expensive bid. So you would have to downplay it and buy, like, I bought a Prius so I could like save some gas and like not take her car on the off days, because I didn't want people to judge me that I was making a good living, even though I had, couple $1 million worth of equipment and a very large crew of people that worked for me, but somehow I wasn't entitled to the same money as some coder that worked at Twitter. It was just so backwards. Like, it was okay for him to drive like a Ferrari, and I couldn't drive an Audi. But that perception is changing very quickly, and I'm so happy, because it's like I see the work that the guys do in the construction industry. It's like real work. Like, you start your day and there's a building or there's not a building, and then there's all these changes at the end of the day. The building is gone, or you framed it or whatever. There's something that actually happened, and then you look at the technology crowd, and it's like they just ones and zeros in front of a computer. They open a laptop, they work, they close the laptop, and they go home. It's just not the same level of get shit done that we are used to.
yeah, no. And I think like there's a movement within the construction. Guys are starting to understand their value, and they
Yeah.
understand it's okay to make money like
Yep.
that, because that's what we started out to do this. Like you just said, it's okay for that person to do this, but because you're the builder or you're the contractor, it's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that, those days are going away. Like that
Yeah.
in the reputation, like you gotta think, like these guys are the ones that built America.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they should, like you just said, they should be involved in these conversations. They shouldn't be just kind of brought in, because you know what happens is when they bring them in, they're like, well, you're wrong. Like, no, we planned all this out. This is how it's going to happen. And they're like, no, we can't, like, that's not how this works. And they're like, well, you're wrong. We need to get a different guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. This
it,
is the world we're in, but we're making a change.
yeah, no, we definitely all were headed in the right directions. And it's having conversations like this so people can understand, like, it's okay to have this conversation, because there's people out there that would say, like, we shouldn't even have this conversation. Like, it should just be, it is what it is. Let's just let it go and just continue on doing what we do. But I don't think the construction industry deserves that. I think the more people should be having this conversation.
Yeah, sure. And don't judge, shift the conversation. I even saw it on Twitter the other day. Someone put up a picture of like a Bentley and says something like, your contractor pulls up in this car, what do you say? And everything was like, next, not going to hire you, like, you're going to rip me off. And I just commented, I'll be like, well, the guy probably has an amazing business.
He
That's
probably
what it
does
is. Like,
really. Just think about
probably.
like the transfer of money typically happens when somebody has a great experience, they have a great reputation, they do great work. So if that dude's driving a Bentley, they're probably doing some fantastic work, because people are giving him enough money to go drive a Bentley.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I judge, I think maybe the guy in the beat up old pickup truck, maybe you should be asking the other question.
That's how I took,
What
like,
is he doing wrong?
yeah. Yeah, because there's nobody in the industry that should be driving around in a beat up old pickup truck nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have to think, if a contractor pulled up to my house in a Bentley, I would be excited because my expectations would be really, really high for what was going to be delivered from every touch point and every experience that I had with them.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, it's okay to make money. I used to do it. One of the things we did a lot, the reason I'm in the dirt industry now is I removed a lot of swimming pools. We would take out like 300 swimming pools a year. And that was like, for me, when I was going to get quotes, like to do the bids, I would just simply go to people. Like I drove a nice pickup truck. I had the Denali, HD, and some people, they knew that I was doing all right. But I would just say, listen, here's the bid. It's not going to be the cheapest. It's not going to be the most expensive, but I'm going to be the best. I've included with your bid all of my insurances, and I also put 100 references to the last 100 pools that I've taken out. Feel free to call as many of you want. I would encourage you to call at least 3 of them. Whether you hire me or not, it's fine. You can call me if the project starts to go awry with somebody else, call me and I'll help you out. And that was it. I'd leave it alone. I won almost every project. Because there's not a lot of guys in the construction industry that was just like, you can build, like, just through good service and taking care of your customers, your business grows itself. So
absolutely. I love it, man. This has been a great conversation today.
Yeah, no,
we touched all kinds of different points.
I love it, Ron. Yeah.
So hey, for all the construction champions out there, if they wanted to get a hold of you, where's the best places for them to do that?
You can check out dirtmatch.com for if you got any dirt, because I know a lot of guys are dealing with that constantly. I have another company, mysiteplan.com, where we help with non-certified site plans for smaller projects. RyanCrownholm.com to see what I'm up to. I recently wrote a book called The Hustle Trap, which kind of breaks down some of my thoughts on business and how I structure them, put them together. And so, and then Ryan Crownholm anywhere across social media as well.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. Had fun.
All right, construction champions. Let me ask you this. What Ryan just asked is, what would you do if somebody that you were going to have work on your house rolled up in a Bentley? Because if you're the contractor, think about that. Because these are this is the thoughts we have to change in ourselves. Because I'm going to say it, that most of you guys out there would be like, I wouldn't hire that guy. Well, start asking yourself why. Why wouldn't you hire them just off of that one thing? And why should you hire them? Start working through this in your mind. Because if you have that mindset, and you can't have that mindset shift, you will never be able to go to that next area, that next understanding of where the construction industry is headed as we continue to grow. Like, don't be afraid to step into that. I mean, I'm fine with being the price leader, but with being the price leader, you better be the best. And you better bring it from every aspect and just own it. Like, it's okay to own that stuff. It's okay to say, I'm the most expensive. I'm going to deliver the absolute best customer experience. It's going to be the best work with the best possible warranty by the best company around. And that is why I'm here in this brand new truck. Like, it's okay to say that kind of stuff. But you have to follow through and you have to believe it, and it has to be true. So as you build your company, don't be afraid to build into that. So, construction champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, construction champions. It's your host, Ron Nussbaum here. And I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.